can see on the screen why have we gathered here. But before we start with how to do it, why we should do it? Is there anybody who can tell me why we should have special operating procedures in school or in any organization? Why do we think? No, yes ma'am. Yes, Sarita ma'am. For uniformity in the work. So if Sarita ma'am is teaching SST or Jyoti Khurana ma'am is teaching, it should be same. Or any other teacher X, Y, Z who teaches social science. I'm not saying individual differences will not be there, but the steps are the same. That first, as we have it in the Exceed planning also, first the LP1 will be done, then the notebook work will be done, then practice questions will be done, then block assessment will be done. So this is how we do. It may differ because my thing is that then we know that if we are following Exceed, it is going uniformly not only in one subject but all across the classes and the subjects. Anything else? Yes, Meenakshi ma'am? To maintain records also, yes, maintain record. This can be used for research purposes also, analysis also, and at the same time judging how efficiently the system has worked. Ankit sir? Yes, we should learn from others' mistake again when we have recorded. So where the probability of making mistake is there, that can be rectified. So one thing we all understand is uniformity and consistency is important for any organization to grow. Yesterday we had a meeting of English communication drive, review meeting of senior wing, and everybody said persistence and consistency will make the changes that is required. Then in SOP it also clarifies and defines roles and responsibility. For example, in examination system, what is the first thing? When the session begins, the examination system asks for me the dates for the different examinations after the formulation or finalization of the assessment policy. So once that is done, then you make the date sheet. And while making the date sheet, we see that the same teacher should not get so many classes, should not have the same exam. So that is a prevention method. Why do we prevent it? Because if somebody gets 3 or 4 classes, the revision cannot happen efficiently. And the checking also will not happen. Because another SOP for examination is the bundle should be returned on the 3rd day. So if a teacher is getting 5 bundles, how can she return on the 3rd day? Then if the last exam is there, we all know we have to make time or put extra effort to finish it within that time. So that is also depending on when the result has to be, yes. So once that is done, then the checking is done. The UT notebooks or the answer sheets has to be shown to the children. And then we have to rectify, enter in the ERP. Then the, you can say the consolidated result is formed and then the analysis and discussion happens. So we all know. But I don't have to take such kind of meeting every year. Now these exams are coming, what should we do? This is how. So something goes on automation. And then we have a review, then this thing. So earlier sometimes people were not coming for relieving. So then we made a format. So how much time the reliever came. Then there were teachers, the errors were not reported. They were going to the classes quietly and modifying the question, whatever. So then another format was to that. So we are trying to make the system efficient and transparent. तो किसी की बात पता छुप गई तो पता नहीं चली, किसी की बात सामने आ गई तो वो पनिश हो गया. So this is how an SOP helps an organization to become uniform, to have transparency, efficiency and time management also, because so many meetings need not be taken. And every step we know after this what is going to happen. That is there. And strengthens the accountability. As somebody said, records रखते हैं. तो वो records में जो है, we know that who all went late, how many errors were there in the totaling, we get to know. So accountability, once we know one of the teacher had so many errors, Some of them are errorless. So we know the strength also of our team, how they are doing it. So definitely accountability is strengthened. Then safety and risk management. When it comes to discipline, when it comes to dispersal, we know that when the bell will go, 2 o'clock, the teachers will go, the class teachers will go, and then they will move. So which classes, which floor will be evacuating from which staircase. All that is planned. So that is why it leads to safety. And the little ones, we sometimes ask them to move little earlier than that, because they will take some time for that. So again, the thing is safety. In the cases of medical emergencies, it helps a lot. We know, and a child is absent. We know after 3rd day, a child doesn't come without information. What do? We give a call. So you don't have to, I don't have to tell anybody. You know that 3rd day, the class teacher will give a call. If the class teacher gets to know that the child is unwell, then you also know, you will report to your respective in charges, and then they will ensure that the child, the parent gets all the work which is done. So if they have gone for a trip, then we can tell them that the child has to come back and complete the work. If the child is unwell, we will be sending the PDFs in that form. So again, the thing is, some teacher becomes very good class teacher, some teacher becomes an average class teacher, or some teachers do not take that role on themselves as class teachers. But then when we have systems in place, when we have SOPs for the duties and responsibilities of a class teacher, everybody will try to come to at least not the A+. A+ तो देखो individual differences से आता है, but at least B+ and A, all the class teachers will be able to reach that. Then comes definitely whenever I meet some parents and they come for expressing their gratitude, they all say the school teachers are very cooperative, the staff is very cooperative. So you all came from different places and you have all understood that we have to collaborate with the parents and with each other. We do not have to argue with the parents. So we try to simplify the problem which their parent is facing, but then some of them they go overboard. Some of the teachers they even answer at 10. Some of them they switch off the moment they sit in the bus. Some of them are moderate, 3-4 baje tak aaya, so that is there. So if we tell the parent in the orientation itself that in case of emergency you can connect after this time, but for normal things you can message and we will call you, or then till 4 o'clock it is fine, you can give me a call. Many times we are in the buses also. So then the uniformity will be there. Now what happens, sometimes some teachers are very kind and they do it, but other teachers don't do it. So when the child is promoted to next class, they start complaining कि स्कूल ही खराब हो गया, कि पिछले साल तक तो मैम स्कूल ठीक था, अब इस साल खराब हो गया. ऐसे कैसे खराब हो जाएगा? The thing is, what the parent expected, the teacher went beyond that as per the school expectation also, just to make a mark for themselves. So, but the thing is, we can do that, but then we should not do anything beyond the school policy. So that is why sometimes the PDF we had switched off, like we had stopped giving the PDFs after the COVID, 2 years after the COVID. But still some of them they made a parallel broadcast group. Then they were sending the PDF. So all these things were happening, which is not right. If you have made your own SOP, then you do not belong to Scholars Global School. The staff members of Scholars Global School will follow what the school has decided. Whatever the consequences, we are there to face, and we can have a reflection on that also. So then comes the facilitates training and induction. If anybody comes in the school, after a month I ask, they say, ma'am, sab kuch pata chal gaya. The staff is very cooperative, because it has also been that whatever systems are there, whosoever are the older teachers, they know and they quickly explain it. So they don't have to go or beg or plead to anybody to tell them, because if you are in a system for a time, it is an automatic process. Then it definitely promotes professionalism. If everything is well structured, step by step, what has to be done, the guidance is given. So definitely it makes that. And it also ensures compliance with policies and regulation. And the last I will say, it helps in continuity and crisis management. So these are some of the things which makes me think, and that is why we decided कुछ नया करते हैं, कुछ बड़ा करते हैं during this unexpected holiday which we got as teachers. So the things when we started, you all started saying we will do this, we know that we have been doing. So now the thing is that you also know what has to be done before the closure of the school or when we come back after the school. So this is something which is very important that you all know in the system. So it is because the SOPs are there, and we thought of having SOPs for smaller things. We have for bigger things, assembly in charges, Olympiad in charges. So but then Olympiads, we all know every year different subjects are happening, but we are not getting some kind of let's say positions at a higher level. School का है, class का है, state में भी एक दो है, but not at a. So now we thought of making an SOP how to ensure children get good grades also in the Olympiad, good ranks also. So that we understood that it cannot happen in 15-20 days of training or the booklet which we cover. So it is important for everyone, each one of us, that we need to have a strategy. We have to give something more. So that was only possible because we were following a system which now we are reviewing it and we are trying to make something, improving the system. So once again, who will read it out? The first thing, why do we need SOPs? For uniformity and for defining for improving for strengthening, for managing,
safety and risk management,
and for improving quality in administration, and definitely for training and induction. So what does it promotes? And then what is very important in after the framing of SOPs? And definitely it leads to continuity if one and crisis, because if some person leaves the organization, what is going to happen? Another person will join and then the school system will keep on moving. So one person doesn't take away the place, like the India, how the India is moving. So many prime ministers have changed, but democracy is still there because it is ingrained in our education system that democracy is the best way of governance that is there. So now coming to the first thing, what should an SOP include? What is the first thing is the SOPs need to have a clarity of purpose and language. So we should keep the SOPs clear, simple and practical. We should not have very high jargonic English so that it is understood by every staff member. Understanding is more important than the beautifying the language. So avoid jargon and lengthy explanations. Then we should have clearly define the purpose. We should start with why. So why should we have an SOP for conducting the assemblies in the school? Why should we have? Don't we know assembly में क्या होता है? Yes, ma'am. Ritu ma'am.
The pattern of the assembly remains same. This will come after this. Events remain same.
Pattern of the assembly remains same. Okay, and it is also modified wing wise. Age group which we are doing. So whatever the format for senior wing cannot be for the pre-primary wing. So that is one thing. Second thing, time management also. If a teacher gets to know कल तुम्हारी assembly है, will we get quality? No. And if we say कि okay अगले हफ्ते आपकी assembly है, then also the teacher will be curtailing the periods of teaching and training the children. So but if you know in the beginning of the month only, so then we can manage and we can manage multiple things. So we should have a clarity defining the purpose. So always start with why, to ensure timely and effective communication of homework through ERP. This is one example, this is the new initiative which we have taken, and the whole school is now sending homework on ERP. Then using professional and concise language, formal, precise and free from ambiguity. So what is ambiguity? That leads to confusion. मैं गया, अब कहाँ गया, कब गया, कैसे गया, किसके साथ गया, क्या जाना चाहिए था कि नहीं जाना चाहिए था. So that is there, it is, and it should be short, direct sentences, preventing misunderstanding. Then there has to be a format. Maintain a uniform format for all SOPs. That is why this meeting was important, because everybody in each wing is working on some SOP or the other. But then the school format or any organization's format should be similar. It cannot be same, because the SOP itself, the nature of the SOP itself will decide what the format is going to be. So we should have, the first thing is the title. So the title, as we say, sending homework on ERP. That is the title, on timely submission of homework on ERP. That will be the title. Then the purpose, why it should be, because the parent feedback comes, 8 बजे मिलता है homework, 6 बजे मिलता है, and बाकी classes का time पे मिलता है, इसी इन 3 classes का देर से मिलता है. So it is important that we should know what is the purpose of that SOP, and then what is the scope. किसके लिए है SOP? So SOP टीचर्स के लिए है, पेरेंट्स के लिए है, स्टूडेंट्स के लिए है, एडमिन के लिए है, कम्युनिटी के लिए है. So it depends on the who all will be affected by the SOP. Then comes the responsibility. So in a, let's say for assembly in charge, there are different teachers, there are assessors which are involved. So who all has what responsibility? Even the admin also has a responsibility to put the mics in place on the time, and the sports department and the class teachers have a responsibility to vacate the building and start the assembly on time. So sometimes it takes 10 minutes to gather, sometimes it takes 5 minutes to gather. Sometimes the teachers themselves are reaching late to the assembly because of the transport or some other issue. In some cases, even if the teacher is not there, children are confident enough, they carry forward the assembly. In one or few cases, teacher had to take leave on that particular day. So then it became not difficult, because children carried, they knew everything. So nothing stopped. That is why continuity should remain, because children also know what is the pattern of the assembly. By the time they reach 4th, 5th class, they start planning themselves which topic, which assembly we are getting, ma'am. All the time I hear them. Sometimes I ask them and they tell me, ma'am, this is the assembly. And once in grade 3, the many children had gone for games, and there were 5, 6 children. I asked them, why are you in the class? They said, our ma'am is unwell and she is not coming for last 3 days, and we are practicing for our assembly. So that is amazing. That is why it has trickled in the system that assembly is important for them. And it is also exhibiting the class reputation also. So that is what they take it seriously. Then comes the procedures. Now again the procedures, the plan, the dates will be decided, the days, which days the assembly will be there, and then we will have the themes which can be there. Some can be the themes which are the days which are happening, or some are the internal topics which we need to highlight on that. So that is how I did not explain the procedure. The procedure is such. So if today Aanchal is assembly in charge, next year Shally becomes the assembly in charge for pre-primary wing. She will know the basic pattern of the assemblies, which is very important for the continuity of the progress which the school is doing. Then comes the guidelines. We all know the guidelines are very important. 8-10 पे assembly start होगी. So first whatever we will have, then the classes will be arranged straight. The classes, the children who will come late, they will make a separate line. The teachers who have reached school and are not coming along with the children, they will be also spoken to. why they missed out their children, why they sent their children alone. Then comes the reporting, the assessment, whatever is done of the assembly. So that comes for the reporting authority. They review what was the missing, what was good about that, and then reviewing. And we used to have music, art, dance, whatever was possible, speeches, poetry, recitation, everything in one assembly. Then the second thing is mention the title clearly. So what do you mean by that? SOP title, what do we mean by that? So what the goal for making the SOP is, the topic for SOP is. So SOP for conducting parent orientation. We all know. SOP for conducting PTMs. SOPs for parent engagement. So these are very important. Then again I have spoken about the scope. Explain where it applies. This SOP applies to all teachers, coordinators and administration. So the next thing is about SOP is responsibilities and procedures. So when we talk about responsibilities and procedures, we say that should be clearly distributed among staff members. Every individual involved should know their role, accountability and reporting authority. So sometimes we feel reporting authority is the person sitting next to us. And many times I say something is found and then I come to know, I check with the teacher, then the teacher says, मैंने तो उनको बता दिया था. अरे बता दिया था तो मतलब काम तो खत्म नहीं हुआ ना. So if you see that the action has not been taken, then we come back on that. So if some parent has climbed in the bus and disrupted the bus atmosphere, we should come back. And if we say कि हमने admin में बता दिया था, तो फिर did we see that any change happening? If not, then go again. Because the SOP is how the best possible we can services we can provide to the parents, but at the same time telling the parent where their responsibility ends, but that also in a polite manner. So roles must be assigned very clearly, and there should be a step-by-step format. So teachers will finish the work on time. Coordinators will verify, and again about the homework only. So all the class subject teachers will submit to the class teachers by 2 p.m. Then includes the timelines that I have shared. Homework must be uploaded before 4 p.m. daily. So don't take it 4 p.m. Because my expectation is 3:30. Because I want this task to be over before you deboard the bus. And during the bus you can do this, and you all are tech savvy, there's a lot of trainings that happen. Then stay realistic. If I give you कि by 2:30 a parent comes and fights with me and says कि मैम homework इतना लेट आता है and I'm not able to do, मुझे शाम को walk पे जाना है, मेरी tuition है, whatever. They have 100 genuine reasons. But should I agree to that? Is it possible कि 2:30 तक पूरे school का चला जाएगा? No, by 2:20 the dispersal happens, and I would not like my teachers to leave the children and work on that. So we have to have a realistic plan which is feasible, which is possible and doable. That is there. So we should always be realistic whether it's achievable within the given resources. Unrealistic SOPs leads to non-compliance and inefficiency. So the next thing is precision, guidelines and alignment. So unnecessary details, only relevant details, essential information. Overloading reduces clarity and effectiveness. If for one thing I give 10 examples, will it be? It is poor time management. When I know my teachers are that level, they will be able to understand by even one example. So that is there. So we should use minimum words for maximum understanding and clarity. Then the next comes the including guidelines and precautions. So we clearly state do's and don'ts. Confidential information must not be shared without approval. The moment I have said this to XYZ person in the school, that should remain within the boundary or the walls of this room, I get to know from the third person or by the another conversation which I pick that it has been circulated in the whole school. So if there is issue with one of the student of my class or anything which need not be known to the next teacher. Next teacher means the teacher who is teaching next year. So why should we, he or she should not be allowed to make a fresh impression about that. So this is something which is very, very important, that wherever I'll say, like for the class teachers also. Right from February, the timetable in charges are pushed, bribed, cajoled, I'll say whatever, to know which classes they are getting. And with over the period of time, we all know, for me, pre-nursery class teacher and 12th class teacher have a similar responsibility towards the school. So it doesn't matter if I am a class teacher of 5 or 6 or 10th or 12th. So we have to see how we will be able to manage the school with our experience and with our expertise. So sometimes the parents' body of a particular class has parents who are very demanding, and so we keep a teacher who is very diplomatic. So we know that this person will be able to manage this. So it is not about your qualification or disqualification. Sometimes the children are very rowdy. So we think a strong, well-built teacher will be able to make a difference. So it is nothing to do with that. So we all the time, our goal is that the school should run efficiently. So that is there. Then coming to monitoring and reporting. So as I have shared the example, I will not repeat. If something has gone wrong, that needs to be reported also, because that is a deviation from the SOP. So unless that deviation will be brought back, how it is going to manage. So coordinators reviews ERP daily and submits a weekly report. So if a teacher by chance once had happened, it's okay. But if some teacher is regularly, abhi bhi attendance we give on ERP, there are 2 or 3 teachers in the whole school. They are constantly need nudging and a reminder. It's not that they don't want to do. It's that they are not prioritizing it. Because something has to be prioritized, that before 9 AM or 10 AM the attendance should go to otherwise there is no point in sending it. Then again SOPs should be formed in accordance with organizational rules, CBSE guidelines. अब मैं कल बोल दूँ कि बच्चा 50%, so I met one principal, she said, in my school ma'am the pass percentage is 50%. So मैंने कहा ma'am under which rule this comes? She said, I have my own rules. But then if it is a school, we have to go with the CBSE guidelines. I said in my school also we have 40%, but I do not fail the child if he or she gets 33% because it is CBSE guideline. Then when we are making the SOPs, we have seen that visually, when we talk about a picture is worth 100 or 1000 words. Yes? Do you agree? Yes. So why not make it diagrammatic or pictorial or flowchart, concept map? We do it in the classroom. Why not do it for ourselves? So when it will be easier for us to understand, we will be spending lesser time in understanding, more time in following what we are doing. So use visual aids, consistent documentation, same terminology, font style and formatting in all SOPs ensures professional presentation and easy reference. Then review regularly. It should be reviewed regularly. SOPs must be updated periodically. This SOP must be reviewed at the beginning of every academic session. So like when we started with the English communication drive, we made the SOPs, and in the last point was we will be reviewing the SOP for English communication, and we reviewed it in the month of March. And then we got to know what were the lapses and where the more accountability has to be put. So again, every policy is not permanent. Amendments are happening, times are changing. So if the amendments are not done in the policy, so how is it possible if we had not amended that the classroom can take place of online also? So whether we would have continued with education? No, it would have been complete loss of 2 years. 2 years for every child. And then 2 years se kya? 5 years, because they would have lost control of everything. Then comes the review regularly, as I shared. Then comes the efficiency and coordination. So when I say efficiency and coordination, all the stakeholders should be accountable and hold the responsibility of their particular role and coordinating with the others. So well-written SOPs improves coordination across departments and ensure smooth systematic workflow. So the 3 pillars I'll come back later. Before that, I am going to give you an example of an incident that happens and that led to the formation of SOP, of that particular SOP in our school in a pen and paper form. Though in 90% of the cases, SOPs are there, but they are sometimes non-verbal, non-written, understandable, because the staff is there and through one person it is being passed on to the others. So it is like that. But then what was good for last year may not be very good for this year. So why not make it very good by slight modifications and changes that is there. So initially, I'll give again the example of Olympiad. Initially when we started with the Olympiad, hardly 10, 15, 20 children used to do that. Then we started giving classes. So then we got a good registration of numbers. Now the thing is, now registration is good, but the performance. So this year we are giving weightage to the plan, to the performance also. So this only comes when we accept that there is some changes which can happen for better by slightly adjusting or remodifying the SOP there. So once again I come back to that incident. One child got hurt while playing himself. Nobody pushed him, nothing happened. While playing he fell. Then he was brought the 2 peers brought them. Children also know, if somebody is hurt, we have to take them where? To the medical room. If you are not well, you can leave, ma'am. If you are not well, you can leave. Please go. Okay. So that child knows that if somebody is unwell, we have to take them to the medical room. So he was brought there. And then the attendant, the nurse, she looked after that and all that. After 1 hour, she felt that there is a need for plaster because it is not a ligament or anything. So then we coordinated with the parents, the class teachers. The things happened, and then we took the child to the parents said the child will be sent with his brother in the bus only. We were offering that they should come and take them, or we can take them to the hospital, but they said no, we will not. You can send them in the bus. So this was done. We sent them. The child got the treatment. After 2 days, the parents started, once the operation was done or whatever, some minor. Now the things are hardly, without much cuts and things are placed. So that small sling was done in the child and not a major thing. On phone the parent said, usko to rod pada hai, usko ye pada hai, all that nonsense. Whatever the parent, any angry parent say, we all know. We have all faced in our lifetime. So the thing is, and then they started alligating कि school में ध्यान नहीं हुआ ही नहीं, उसका care नहीं हुई, nobody bothered, sports teachers नहीं थे, बच्चों को ऐसे ही छोड़ दिया, all that happened. And then they put they said कि मेरे बच्चे को तो स्कूल से घर से पिक किया जाए, स्कूल में लाया जाए, वो बस में नहीं चढ़ सकता, वो नहीं कर सकता, and all those things. So we said, okay, we नया admission है, parent है, we'll do it for a week. They had asked for a week, and we agreed for that. And then they started demanding, and they put the case in the CWC. CWC is Child Welfare Committee. that the school doesn't have any system. The school, the sports department is inefficient. There is no medical care given. The parents were not communicated, and they had asked. And at the same time, he is connecting with the school staff and asking for the transport. And then they said when we went and all, the other teachers had gone, and then they told us we want the evidences and all that. That's okay. So we had seen the evidences because it is a part of the system. एक रजिस्टर बना हुआ है हमारे स्कूल में, जो भी बच्चा आता है it is entered, कितनी देर रहा, camera is already there, camera is already there in the sports field. So then when the parents started bullying, I put my foot down. I said we will not do that. We were doing it only for just to have a good bonding with the parent, and वो दुखी है, परेशान है, तो let's do it. But they wanted for a month. I said no, and had the school had a extra car or a cab, we would have done that. But we were hiring the taxi, 1500 rupees per route. So 3000. So that is too much to please a parent. So then we collected all the evidences. In sports department, we had a timetable for the entire. We had a video clipping where the child had fell down. We had the proper sports procedures in place. How do we maintain safety in the school ground? All that was documented. Timetable was there. And then the video clipping of the child coming with the two children, the nurse looking after, then different teachers coming visiting the child, and which was I will say the bullseye was, we have a system of recording the telephone calls, and automatically when the class teacher called and then followed by the nurse that the child needs to be sent to the hospital was recorded automatically. And that is what I say, when you do everything right, God helps. So we went with the evidence and we showed that, and the moment the parent was saying हमें बताया ही नहीं, स्कूल ने बताया ही नहीं, और स्कूल ने तो पूरा बताया कि भाई बच्चे को हॉस्पिटल की जरूरत है, स्कूल में नहीं हो पाएगा, फर्स्ट एड तो दे दिए. They were saying first aid भी नहीं दिए. The teacher had done, the nurse had done the crepe bandage, everything whatever is possible was done. And what happened? We were said कि okay, and that person was called and scolded for making a fake thing just because their parents are influential or whatever. I do not want to get. So that made me think, when we do everything right, why should we bow down to child welfare committee ka naam ka? They were trying to bully us. So one, I tried making an SOP for this. I'll just read it out. That will be an example how the SOPs have to be made. So standard operating procedure for management of student injury in school. So I'll take you back to the first slide. This one. Keep define the title should be there. So the title is very clear, SOP for management of student injury in school. Then the objective, to provide immediate care, ensure student safety, and establish a clear protocol for communication and documentation in case of any injury. Applicability, the stakeholders. The SOP is applicable to all students, teaching and non-teaching staff, school premises, transport, and off-campus school activities. So even when we are going on trips, for educational trips, whether a day plan or a long overnight stay plan, this SOP is functional. So one child had, the one who had gone 9th to 11th, one child was walking in the stream and she fell down and she had a cut because of the algae in the water. So the moment the teacher called me and I told, have you spoken to the parent? She said, no ma'am. मैंने कहा, first do that so that the parent is aware that the child has, whether the cut is smaller or big, The parent can make a hue and cry about anything. So that's why I felt it is important even outside also. So when we keep the parent updated, they also feel that the child that is not being ignored, that is there. Then comes the roles and responsibilities. So the first step is who is responsible is the teacher or the staff on duty. The role is immediate assessment, how much the damage is, and giving the first aid. If the child has fainted, the first thing would not be taking the medical room. Give them water. Put some sprinkles of water. So I'm just saying, so whatever a teacher can do with whatever things are happening, one person do. Then second comes the school nurse, medical support and evaluation. Whatever medical support and assessing whether the child needs hospital care or the child can be okay with that. Then comes the class teacher and coordinator in place. Communication and follow-up. So the class teacher, the nurse will communicate to the class teacher. Class teacher will immediately talk to the coordinator and together they can talk to the parent and update them. The child has met with the minor accident and this is what we have already done. And the follow-up. Suppose छोटा मोटा कटी था तो पट्टी लगा के parents say okay, we are coming, we will take it. If they say okay, send him in the bus, okay. We can give if the parent insists, we can do a call also. Let the parent speak to the child over the call also. That also builds trust that nothing major has happened to them. And then comes the follow-up. In the evening, we can give a call. That parent also had this complaint. Nobody bothered to ask us कि क्या हुआ, कैसे हुआ, though we were doing that. Then comes the school head or the admin, oversight and decision making. So sometimes what happens, if a child is hit or whatever, something happens, the nurse says, they discuss and the child goes to the hospital and I am told the last. Some cases, I am not saying always, which is not right. If a child is leaving the school, I should be aware, even if I am not in the school. So this is कि वो तो रूटीन में है, हम कर देते हैं, नहीं. So many a times parents have objection that the teachers did it themselves. You were not there. You did not intervene. So as a school head, it's not for me, it is for the designation which I am holding. That is there. Then comes we have thought of having an SOP in charge also. The SOP in charge is, for example, let's say for this particular, let's say Mr. Praveen is the SOP in charge. So if something happens and if we are confused, the teacher will call, Praveen sir, ये कर दिया, अब क्या करना है? You get my point? So that person, everybody will be SOP in charge for something or the other. So then you should know. You should not think कि मैं इससे पूछूं, किससे पूछूं. So for every SOP there will be some in charge. Then comes the procedure to be followed. Immediate response. Remain calm and assess the situation promptly. घबराना नहीं है. कुछ लोग खुद रोने लग जाते हैं, भागने लग जाते हैं. अब क्या करें? Stay calm. And sometimes if you are बच्चे जाके घर में बताते हैं टीचर घबरा गई थी, बच्चे छोटे वाले भी बोलते हैं. Remain calm and assess the situation promptly. Ensure the safety of the injured student and surrounding students. Contact SOP in charge for directions if not clear to you. Avoid moving the student in case of suspected serious injury. So आपने खुद देखना है कितना है कि बच्चा चल सकता है, नहीं चल सकता है. You need a wheelchair, you need some extra support, a child needs to be carried. Then the first aid will be provided by the medical staff only. The first preference is the nurse. Second preference is the trained first aid employee. So now in the absence of the nurse, the sports department actively takes care of that. But I am planning when we come back in June, we are in talking in communication with some of the hospitals where I want the entire staff to be trained for first aid. So that we can assess what has to be done. Once I know, I think 2 years ago, that girl is still in the school. the girl class 2 में she was there and she said कि मुझे सांस नहीं आ रही, मुझे सांस नहीं आ रही, सांस नहीं आ रही. Teacher got very scared. She brought them and the girl was saying सांस नहीं आ रही. So I just said बेटा okay, fruity लाना, and the child was drinking fruity. The whole school was scared, and I just thought कि just to divert her attention, maybe glucose is there, sugar will help. So then when we are aware, we will be assessing that. Whenever I see her in the corridor, I think that incident comes to my mind. सांस नहीं आ रहा, like she was throwing as if an asthma attack has happened. Then so handle minor injuries appropriately. For major injuries, limit intervention to basic stabilization. Information and reporting, inform the school office immediately. Notify the concerned class teacher and coordinator. Escalate the matter to school head if required. Then parents, guardians. Next, the fourth point is parent-guardian intimation. Call recording to be done. आप सबके phone में तो नहीं है, school के system में है. But then call recorder is there in the school system. We do it for observing, and randomly we hear the calls which are done from the reception and to the reception for again improving the system. It is nothing for that. We say कि okay, this was the response you gave to the parent. It should have been dealt in this way, or this response was very correct because the parent was misbehaving. That is it. Okay. So in your phones when you are calling, you should please record whatever conversation happens with the parent, because that helped us. That is, otherwise I never thought out. I am not a CBI कि हर चीज record करें ये करें. But that thing which helped us, I felt that it is worth doing, a small task which we are doing. Then providing clear and factual information to parent regarding the incident by class teacher. कि भाई खेल रहा था, चोट लग गई, गिर गया, और उसको फर्स्ट एड दे रहे हैं ना. अब इसके बाद अब आप नर्स से बात कीजिए. सो द whatever medical terminology or whatever will be conveyed, that the nurse is going to convey. That is it. So that will also give an evidence that nurse was there in the school during that time, because the parents said the nurse has sahi nahi. Then comes the information regarding nature of injury, first aid administered, and further course of action to be informed by nurse. तो first aid दे दिया, पेरेंट को बताया कि अभी ठीक है, रेस्ट दिया, ये दवाई दी है इसको, और ये मुझे लगता है ठीक हो जाएगा, आप आ सकते हैं तो आ जाइए, अदरवाइज ठीक है, और अगर things are worse, we will have to take him to the hospital. So are you coming or should we go? So if the emergency is there, so we will take them. So during this time, सीरियस इंजरी, नोटिफाई प्रिंसिपल, नोटिफाई एडमिन. 2 लोगों को इन्फॉर्म करना है जरूरी. द रीजन इज एडमिन विल मेक अरेंजमेंट्स, कार का जहाँ जो इंश्योरेंस है, जो हॉस्पिटल से टाई अप है, दैट वी विल सी. और एडमिन टू अरेंज इमीडिएट ट्रांसफर टू द नियरेस्ट हॉस्पिटल and connect with the person from the tied up hospital. So there are some numbers ना, स्पॉक नंबर्स की, इफ द इमरजेंसी. सो बच्चा आ रहा है हमारे स्कूल से, आप प्लीज रेडी रखिए, शायद फ्रैक्चर है तो वी विल नीड अ डॉक्टर. सो दैट द एडमिन टीम कैन डू दैट. देन द स्टाफ मेंबर मस्ट अकम्पनी द स्टूडेंट. Ensure relevant student details are carried along. Insurance cover also, the students are insured, so we can take that in case it is a major thing. Then the documentation, record the injury in the first aid register. We are trying to make it on ERP also, so that by end when we are thinking about holistic report card, so this will also be there, that what kind of injury and how many times the injury. Some children have such brittle bones, in a school year 3 or 4 times their feet or their hand is plastered. So then there is something which the parent need to see during their nutrition or the deficiency. Then the detailed report has to be made, date, time, location, nature and cause of injury, action taken and the persons involved. Then the follow-up. Monitor the student's recovery to be done by the class teacher. Regular communication with parents to be done by the class teacher and coordinator or HM. Provide necessary academic support if required to be done by class teacher to coordinate with subject teachers. कई बार क्लास कहते हैं हम किस किस का भेजें उसको, मैम सब अपना अपना भेजेंगे. तो भाई क्लास टीचर कौन है? हम है ना. तो वी विल ओनली सेंड. तो वी ऑल्सो नो कि आज ज़्यादा भेज दिया, कल कम भेजेंगे, और अगले दिन कल कम होना है तो आज एक रोक लिया. जो बच्चा ऑलरेडी बीमार है, समटाइम्स एवरीबडी सेंड्स एवरीथिंग, काम खत्म. एंड देन द पेरेंट्स समटाइम्स फिर देन दे से कि PDF दीजिए, फोटो कॉपी चाहिए. So then the preventive measures, regular safety audits of school infrastructure should be done. Availability of well-stocked first aid kits to be cross-checked on monthly basis. So I will be putting some people on duty for cross-checking. Periodic first aid and emergency response training for staff to be cross-checked on every alternate month. The way we had the evacuation drill, so we will have a first aid drill also. So we will do a mock thing. Every time a different kind of injury we will mock, and how the concerned people will react to that. So this year we are going to do it every alternate month. So for this also one person will be in charge for that. Adequate supervision of students at all times during morning arrival to prevent that. Lunch break, activity periods and dispersal time to be followed. Maintenance of updated student medical records. So if some child has some kind of medical issues, so the parents need to tell the class teacher also, speak to the nurse also, and the class teacher should make the other teachers also aware of this thing. Then mock drills should be a part of the school system. So compliance, non-compliance with this SOP will be viewed seriously and may invite disciplinary action. All staff members are directed to familiarize themselves with this SOP and ensure strict implementation at all times to uphold student safety and well-being. Have you understood how, for one thing that started, and then we thought of making an SOP, though non-verbally it was happening. That is why all the things were in place. So, but now it is officially documented, discussed with all of you. So once the SOPs are made, we will be having, means the framed and finalized. Then we will be having specific meetings, department-wise, school-wise, whenever the time is there, so that we can, everybody knows that this is the SOP which we have to follow and how this kind of matter needs to be taken care of. So I think you are clear with what is the purpose of making SOP, how to make it, different examples I have already narrated to you. Now the thing is the 3 pillars of SOPs. So if I am making an SOP, it should not be, it should favor me. You get my point? So it should be accountability should be there. Agar first aid mein nurse is there and she is ignoring, if the accident has happened in the classroom and the children have gone to the class teacher and she said, jao jo class mein usi se kaam karao. So that is I'll say negligence from the class teacher's point of view. Sometimes it happens, जो बच्चे बुखार में होते हैं, पूरा दिन बैठे रहते हैं, हमें पता ही नहीं चलता. So if a child is unusually quiet, we need to inquire, and you should have a monitor. क्योंकि बच्चे अपने फ्रेंड से तो बोल ही देते हैं. So many times teachers come and tell me, मैम बच्चे ने बताया ही नहीं. तो वो हमने उनसे बॉन्ड बनाया ही नहीं कि बच्चा हमें बताएगा. That is there. So because जब वो कभी आया हेल्प के लिए, we said go, let me continue. That is there. So ये भी हम SOP में बना सकते हैं. When we are doing the class teacher, the first homeroom period which we take, we can tell that if you are not well, you can come to me and share your problem with me. So the child will know if I am unwell, if something wrong has happened. We think कि क्यों बच्चे मेरे पास आ रहे हैं जो टीचर है, और sometimes subject teachers सोचते हैं why should we look into, it's a class teacher's matter. It is a collaborative matter. Then comes the transparency, open documentation. So this document is available to all so that nobody can modify. So if somebody is caught with that, okay, इसमें मेरा रोल ही नहीं है. that is not there. And definitely consistent standards ensure every process is performed systematically, delivering predictable, excellent outcomes. So this is what is very important. These are the 3 pillars of effective SOPs. The first is accountability, second is, and the third one is quality. And I think the key takeaways of the entire things which we have done, effective SOP is more than a procedure document. It is the foundation of a professional, accountable and a high quality organization. So it should have a clear language, it should have defined roles, it should have a realistic steps, it should have regular reviews, it should have monitoring mechanism, it should also have policy alignment with the organization. So I think now the whole staff is ready to prepare the SOP which is given to them, either as teams or as individuals, or if you want to frame yourself an SOP to check your understanding how to make an SOP, you are open to do that at whatever small level. For example, SOP can also be framed how to maintain discipline in the buses in the absence of a teacher. How the dispersal should happen without minimum noise in the corridors. The examples of SOPs is SOP of morning arrival of children, SOP for examination duty, invigilator. Many a time invigilator is looking out of the window. Invigilator is on the phone. Invigilator is sitting. Invigilator is frustrated. Invigilator is thinking ki when the paper will stop, they will stop writing, I will run away from here. Invigilator is just dumping it on the examination department, the bundle, lo, ho gaya duty. So there has to be a SOP for even that duty also. How in the best way? This happens. So that's why I'm talking about that. SOP for preparing for outstation trip. So this I think Mushtaq sir will make along with Rahul sir. So it is turning out to be a flop show. I think nobody is ready. Everybody was saying, "Isi tarah le jao, sir. Isi tarah le jao." So then the thing is, would we have been able to work? So will the transparency would have been there? हमने अपने आप को मैनेज करा कि ये दिन जो हैं स्कूल ना आना पड़े, ट्रिप में कर दें. सो अपनी जो छुट्टियां हैं वो मैं एक दिन की भी नहीं खत्म करूँगी. पिकनिक पे भी स्कूल के टाइम पे जाऊँगी. Like we talked about, we had some staff member coming in, I think several years ago, and with her we thought we will have a culture of reading in the school. So then she had a meeting with them and then she came back and she said कि मैम स्कूल टाइम में ही निकालना पड़ेगा टाइम रीडिंग का भी. रीडिंग मीन्स कैजुअल रीडिंग. सो देर आर सर्टन थिंग्स इफ वी वांट टू ग्रो, आई थिंक वी कैन switch off this. So thank you. I think for this video I will be continuing with the meeting.